As you know, the member for Bega, Andrew Constance, is planning to leave state parliament to have a tilt at federal politics. And as New South Wales Parliament is about to wrap up for the year, this week was to be his last in the job before the Bega electorate goes to a by-election. It's a role he's had since 2003, when he was elected at the age of 29, according to Wikipedia, the youngest member of Parliament at the time. Andrew Constance, good morning. I'm guessing that's not the case anymore.
No, it's not, Simon. I feel 18 and a half years on. I've probably aged about 50 years. So, anyway.
What's the latest version of your plan to leave?
Well, look, I'm giving my valedictory speech today, but in doing so, I know you can't thank everyone by name, but what an incredible, humble community we have in our region. And, I know on occasion we focus on the negatives, but my God, I mean, what a beautiful place. And it's driven by wonderful people. And, there's no doubt for me, I think probably the saddest element of stepping away as the member for Bega and, wanting to take that federal step, having now served an apprenticeship in the state parliament, I just want to thank people. You can't do this job alone. I mean, Gail and Shannon in my electorate office and the wonderful team of people who've been there over the years, my party supporters and Carol Carmody and Maggie Havu and the late Bonnie Owen. I mean, just incredible people who've been behind the scenes supporting me. And this is the thing, you can't do this job alone. It does require a great team of people, and I've had a real privilege. It's been a real honour to serve in this capacity because you get to meet wonderful Australians, and in our part of the world we know how humble our community is, and everybody's got the best of intentions of making life better for everyone around the place. Our volunteer rates are very high because of that. So, yeah, look, it's been a real honour and privilege.
Looking back over the last couple of decades, what's your most proud achievement?
Oh, look, I think leaving the role better than I found it. And, when you've got close to $1 billion worth of infrastructure delivered and, there's more to come, and we're seeing some issues around, a new hospital that we announced, but, health, making sure we do get new facilities. And, there's obvious challenges with staffing. I think everybody admits that, but we've got wonderful doctors and nurses who work on the ground. Getting, some of the more, smaller things, the community building partnerships, getting a tractor to the Wallaga Lake community, that made the world of difference to that community. Through to just some of the bigger projects, from Batemans Bay Bridge to what's happening down at the Port of Eden with, over $50 million worth of investment there. It's been a real joy to advocate for this type of infrastructure and deliver it. So, I do think the ability to reflect on those achievements, I mean, ultimately, I'll know what I've done. But I just hope that I've been able to affect so many lives in a very positive way, regardless of what people's views might be on my politics. And, I've only ever done everything with the best of intentions to care about the community. And sometimes it's come at some very high, personal cost. And at the moment, everyone knows I've separated from Jen, and it is just that type of personal cost is associated with doing a role like this. It's very hard. So, I think being open and honest, I've learned a lot from the community, and I'm very grateful for that experience.
And what about unfinished business for the seat of Bega? Will there be a bit of a to-do list if you get a handover with your successor? Yeah,
look, there is. I mean, I think, as with anything, I mean, life continues and there's always going to be issues arise. I've been very disappointed about the breakdown in arguments we've seen around a brand new regional hospital for the Eurobodalla. I mean, it is going to be a level 4 hospital. That's what we've all always said. But, the health agencies made it clear it's got to be done safely. So, as politicians, we want to see that happen. I mean, intensive care unit needs to go in, obviously expanded maternity and obstetrics and an MRI scan and making sure that intensive care unit's there that drives that level 4 hospital. That's the important part. But the main thing is we've got a site near the TAFE at Maria. We've got, of course, the budget, and there's going to be more budget to come. So anyone who's concerned about budget for the hospital. I can assure you there's an expenditure review committee process which is about to tick off on more money for the facility. I think these are the important things, and we don't lose sight of the bigger picture. The region has been through, as we know, incredible tragic times over the last 2 decades. There's been moments where it's been incredibly sad, but I've always tried to keep my head high and try and lead the community as best I can, and I want to continue that, with an eye to the federal parliament.
On the resignation of Dr. Michael Holland with his Southern New South Wales health role this week, as you know, he told the Rural Health Inquiry that neonatal services in the Eurobodalla are unsafe, and he stands by that. Have you seen any evidence from New South Wales Health to convince you that he's wrong about that?
No, in fact, I think the health department did exactly the right thing. If you have a clinician stand up and say that, then they did exactly the right thing. They went to the Clinical Excellence Commission, who've now done a review into the service on the basis of what Dr. Holland said at the inquiry. Now, I'd like to see that report. I'm not privy to it. I think the community should be privy to it. It should be released in its entirety. I would like Dr. Holland to reconsider his position because, as a clinician, he's done an incredible job, whilst also being an advocate, I might add. But I know for me at the moment, I had a call with the health district yesterday, making sure there's the continuity of service, and there's a service for expectant mums right now. They need to be our top priority. They need the confidence in the months ahead that the services are going to be, continued to be provided for. So that's important. So, look, I think the thing is that I would hope that out of this, Dr. Holland could reconsider his position. I have to say that the fact that we're now seeing, political opponents just swoop in on the new regional hospital, we've got to be positive about it. We've got to see, an environment created where it is attractive for people to come. And we have 2 intensivists in the health district, both based in Goulburn. Now, the climate's better on the coast than it is in Goulburn, so we do need to get intensivists both into the Sth East regional and the new Eurobodalla regional, which will be built over the next few years, so that we can really bolster that intensive care capacity, and that's part of the challenge. So I think everyone working together is a good thing. I don't like seeing the breakdown in relationships between clinicians and obviously the officials within health departments, and I've seen that happen all too often over the years. And it's really important that everybody be listened to and respected as those discussions happen.
Well, Dr. Holland says the clinical services plan reduces theatre spaces, removes the sterilising unit, reduces maternity, neonatal and paediatric beds, and doesn't include radiation oncology. I mean, the idea that it's going to be a level 4 hospital, is that just notional at this stage, or is that a guarantee?
No, the clinical services plan which Dr. Holland was engaged in, will be level 4. But the thing is that, we're going to put more budget into it. We're going to have to work hard to attract the staff, and, that needs to happen over the next 3 years. So, I think that the thing about it is that, anyone who reads that clinical services plan will see, but every bit of advice coming out of the clinicians who are involved and everything, it's got to be safe. And so, ultimately, the aim is to get it open as a level 4 hospital. That's the intent of the government. And one thing I would say is we're not going to build a new hospital and downgrade services. I mean, that's not what you do. And so, again, part of this is making sure that we bolster the services. We see a brand new hospital located near the Maria TAFE. And that's what we've got to get on with. There's other things that need to happen alongside that, including a training facility involving the universities, including carers accommodation. And yes, these issues which Dr. Holland are raising is very important, which is why I've been working behind the scenes, and which is why we're now going to see more money that will be tipped in to make sure that we alleviate any of these issues. I mean, this is going to be a hospital well in excess of $200 million. The Sth East Regional Hospital was $190 million when it was built. and, it will be a standalone regional hospital with level 4 services. So that's important for the community to know that.
I put the call out for questions and issues to take up with you this morning. Jane Courtney wants you to advocate for social housing in the Bega Valley. Is social housing going to be a solution for our region when it comes to housing affordability?
Yeah, I think one of the key things with all of this is that, we lost over 1,000 homes in the fires, which social housing was a problem before the fires. When you lose that number of homes, it has even squeezed demand and affected supply even more so. So everybody is absolutely right to identify with the issue in terms of supply. I think that the key thing is we've got to look at what housing stock we have and look at things differently. And that does mean looking at ways in which we can encourage non-residential ratepayers who might only visit the region a couple of weeks a year to see what we can do to access those properties. There's got to be a greater focus into, because we just, our builders are building, like they're getting on and building new homes after the fires, but a greater investment is required from state and Commonwealth governments in relation to social housing in the region, as is the case right across the country. The other thing which is also important is we have to do everything we can to try and reduce the demand on social housing. So that does come back to, obviously the social welfare of the community, the availability of jobs. And, it's quite sad at the moment. We've got small business who are crying out for employees, but we're also struggling to be able to bring people to the region because they just simply can't find housing. And that means that's affecting the health of our small business community as well. So, I think a little bit of out of the box thinking is required in terms of social housing.
Andrew Constance, thanks very much. And I take it that you've adjusted your plans slightly, not leaving State Parliament just yet.
I've been invited to a couple of things just in December, and I've got some community building partnership grants which we're going to put out. So valedictory speech today. Hopefully we will see the completion of the debate and voting on the voluntary assisted dying bill in the lower house this week. Openings of surf clubs, community building partnerships, and then we'll call it a day. And then I've got obviously the local pre-selection to work through with Gilmore, and then hopefully an opportunity to put my hand up and provide a candidate with difference when I seek selection for Gilmore.
All right, no doubt a busy summer. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good on you. Thanks, Simon.
Andrew Constance, who is and remains the member for Bega at this stage until that pre-selection process goes a little deeper.